Hello, coffee house. I have a special guest today who is going to join us in a minute from across the pond. So let's see if I can get him on here. He also has a YouTube channel, so hopefully he will tell us a little about his channel. And if any of you would like to be interviewed, I have a few spots open. We're scheduling now into January and February. So email me at mbticoffeehouse@gmail.com if you'd like to be interviewed. Here, I think he's here. Let's see if I can find him. All right. Here we go. Hello.
Hello, hello.
There he
How are
is.
you?
Nice to see you again. All right. From
You
across
too?
the pond
Hmm.
where it's quite late.
Yeah, I'm a night owl.
Okay, I have with me Jack Aaron, who also has a YouTube channel, as I mentioned. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about your channel.
Yes, so I run the World Socionics Society, and thank you very much for having me on here, Laura. But the World Socionics Society is a YouTube channel and Facebook community that specializes in the Eastern European cousin to the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, also a Jungian typology, hence Mr. Carl Gustav Jung in the off to the side there. Um, but yes, it was created by a different person, a Lithuanian academic rather than a writer in America, and it takes a bit more of a structural view to understanding personality type, Jungian personality type.
Okay, and how did you learn about this?
Oh, well, I got into MBTI first. Actually, I first did the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator back when I was a 15-year-old back at school. But I got into Socionics online. There were a few online forums back in the day, and yeah, I got very taken with Socionics because it pinned down some definitions more clearly. And by doing that, I found I could start to understand exactly what the types are, whereas before it felt a bit wishy-washy.
Interesting. And what is your type?
I am well, when I first took the Myers-Briggs type indicator, I got the ENTP. I have pretty consistently tested that in non-official MBTI tests as
Mhm.
well. Um, and I'm the ENTP in the Socionic system. Although John Haxton of the Myers-Briggs company, I think he's left recently, but the head of thought leadership for the UK, he was at the time, he thinks I'm an INTP. But yeah, no one can ever it's rare you get everyone agreeing on your type.
Right. And so something I always am curious about is what do you think I've run into over the years, I've run into a lot of people trying to assess what my type is and what are the best fields of employment for my particular type.
Mm.
So, can you tell us a little about um, maybe jobs that you've had in the past that have fit well with your type, or maybe hobbies that you had, or any endeavors you think that fit well with an ENTP?
It's funny you should say you should ask that question because my profession has been a business psychologist.
Mhm,
So specializing in finding what sort of roles best fit different sorts of personalities.
mhm,
But I specialize more in the personality assessment, well, assessment in general. I designed all sorts of tests, whether for personality or for aptitude, situational judgment tests, etc. But I'm very interested also in how different personalities interact in a team environment,
mhm,
how they may complement or clash. So yeah, I'm very comfortable, and I think you'd imagine this to be the case for most ENTPs in an area where I get to be analytical, where I get to get across a large body of information, and I'm able to explain that to other people to get them excited about the different sorts of ideas which I have to share. And what I really like doing is to dive into understanding how people work, what makes them tick, and from there coming up with solutions for how they can better um, bring their strengths into the workplace and overcome some of their weaker points. And utilizing typology models has enabled me to very quickly get a sense of why someone does what they do
Mhm,
and how they are likely to approach different challenges in the workplace, approach different sorts of people. It's enabled me to get to the point where I can quite quickly talk about someone's challenges and offer solutions.
mhm,
And that's helped in a coaching context. I've started taking on my own executive coaching clients, utilizing typology to
mhm,
understand them and helping them with running their businesses. So that's sort of how have seen my type work
mhm,
in my chosen profession.
mhm,
Um, Typically, I would say it's not about the line of work you choose that your type should determine.
mhm,
That's more down to personal interest. What's very important is about no matter what line of work you choose, you take on a role within it that plays to your strengths.
mhm,
So an ENTP can be all sorts of professions,
mhm,
but if it's a sort of profession that is where the particular role places extra emphasis and attention to detail and extra emphasis on maintaining very small sets of relationships and yes, maintaining those sorts of things, the day-to-day details and those one-to-one relationships, without the opportunity to think more creatively, more outside the box, as they say, to come up with new perspectives and ideas, and be free to explore those ideas in a space which is tolerant to idea exploration. And if they're also not able to come up with with solutions and find ways to fix those things and to study how it all fits together and makes sense, if they can't engage with it intellectually, then it's not a good role for the person. But you can find that sort of role in any industry.
mhm,
It's finding the roles that play to your strengths in your chosen industry that will make someone happy in a particular type.
mhm. And so you feel like your current profession is a good fit for your type.
Yeah, and I'd say even more now that I'm working for myself,
Hmm.
because that means I can now do the typology stuff full time.
Mm.
That's exciting.
Wow.
And that I'm now moving into, well, having my own CEOs as clients
Hmm.
and moving towards now proposals for team workshops, which
Mm.
I've done a bit in the past, but it was always sort of doing it with just an MBTI framework, which has its limitations. Now I
Right.
can use Socionics and fully unlock intertype compatibilities for
Hmm.
understanding how people in a team work with each other.
Mm.
That's really exciting. Um,
Interesting.
I, based on the scientific literature, people get along well with each other in teams if they share the same values, but also if they bring very different strengths to the table. And type enables someone to find that what values are shared but also what strengths are not shared so that they can actually cover a broader remit of challenges.
Hmm.
So I can then use Socionics, which is against another typologist, it dives a bit deeper. It gets into these sorts of distinctions between values and strengths, which
Hmm.
MBTI sometimes conflates
Hmm.
and treats as the same thing.
Hmm.
Um, by making those distinctions, it can then say, okay, here are the particular clashes, here are particular challenges, but here's also where you're helping each other and
Hmm.
where if you were to not have that person in your team, you wouldn't be able to do that thing so well.
Hmm.
So finding the unique contributions that people make. So I'm very looking forward to this proposal I'm going to be working on.
Sounds interesting. Um, As it relates to the Myers-Briggs, what would you say, personally, what do you think are your strengths and your weaknesses as relates to your MBTI type?
Yeah. So the strongest areas for me
Mm-hmm.
are in getting across unfamiliar terrain in terms of information, new ideas, new possibilities, taking in new factual information. I research things and taking new facts as a hobby. I like to go on Wikipedia and learn new things, watch videos about sort of obscure topics,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm very good at absorbing that kind of non-physical factual information.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm very comfortable in any given situation, figuring out, okay, how are we going to approach this situation? What is the solution that is most likely to work? And
Mm-hmm.
coming up with new ideas and new possible ways of approaching it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's always been very easy to me. That is a mix of my NE, which is my I'd say my dominant or leading function,
Mm-hmm.
but also my background extroverted thinking,
Mm-hmm.
that ability to think about how information can be best applied.
Mm-hmm.
I wear quite lightly. I'm not sort of a workaholic figure that much. I mean, I do work quite hard when I'm interested in something,
Mm-hmm.
but I know very quickly how to apply things to make them work, and I take that sort of for granted.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more interested though in the making sense of it and how it all fits together, the introverted thinking, the theoretical side.
Mm-hmm.
And I can be quite particular on that at times.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm weakest, it's in, first of all, consulting my personal feelings, how I feel towards someone else. I can
Mm-hmm.
do the extroverted feeling. I think I come across quite well to people. I think people like to watch me and quite entertaining to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I can be quite engaging, and I
Mm-hmm.
become more appropriately engaging over time. Sometimes I used to overdo it a lot more when I was younger because it was a weaker area, but it was still something which I had more energy
Mm-hmm.
directed towards because it's still
Mm-hmm.
extroverted.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas my introverted feeling, it's almost like a blind spot. I greatly struggle, and I don't particularly like to talk about my personal attitudes towards people. If you were to ask me who I like and who I dislike, I don't like talking about that, to be honest. I have to
Mm-hmm.
find a reason to dislike someone. It has to be some sort of objective, principle-based reason for why I shouldn't want to associate with said person. I can't do it subjectively.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the other part is the introverted sensing. I'm not very in my body.
Mm-hmm.
I am very much in ideas and
Mm-hmm.
possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
I experience my body as something removed from myself. And so but the difference is, whereas introverted feeling um, is a strange and almost alien environment to step into.
Mm-hmm.
Introverted sensing is something which I'm very receptive to
Mm-hmm.
from other people. My wife is a very grounded person,
Mm-hmm.
very much about creating a stable, harmonious environment,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm very receptive to that.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy it when people can create calming, tranquil environments where the pressures of life are are quietened down, to say the least. Because I'll respond to all the pressure, I'll jump into all of that, but that's not comfortable. That's not a stable environment in which I can be truly exploratory.
Mm-hmm.
So my wife's very good at creating that, being that grounding force, that anchor in
Mm-hmm.
my life.
What is her MBTI type?
It's complicated in that I don't think MBTI is very good at understanding the nuances.
Mm-hmm.
She's not, because she's not, she'd be traditional in the sense that she likes stability, but she
Mm-hmm.
doesn't compare, as they say about introvert sensation, all her present experiences to the past. It's not, it's about what she's used to and what's familiar rather than what's necessarily happened in the past. Has got a very good eye for detail. She
Mm-hmm.
knows the placement of things in the kitchen or in the cupboard, and I'm not very good at that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the key thing, and what I think MBTI forgets, is that this is about keeping things comfortable
Mm-hmm.
and the sensory environment, keeping it harmonious. That is the main thing for her. It's the preservation of homeostasis. Is she
Mm-hmm.
hungry? Is she tired? And knowing how to look after that, in which I don't really look after myself very well. She's very good at looking after herself.
Uh-huh.
She's asleep right now, as an example. Um,
Right.
so that's the main thing for her. What
Mm-hmm.
keeps her comfortable? So it's a sensory
Mm-hmm.
dominant function. I'd say it's an
Right.
introverted sensory dominant
Right.
function. It is about integrating and making sure that's harmonious and a quality experience.
Mm-hmm.
What's supporting it is her ability to come across well to others, to lighten the mood if need be, but to really blend in socially. It's not her approach to extroverted feeling is not like a tertiary, you could say a
Uh-huh.
tertiary function. It's not a sort of try hard
Mm-hmm.
where it can sometimes backfire. It's very expertly and subtly used, which allows it to blend in, to not stick out,
Mm-hmm.
and she really does not like any conversation being potentially awkward. So she
Mm-hmm.
blends into the environment. She's liked by everyone. No one has a problem with my wife. I'm
Mm-hmm.
the one who can be a bit of a class clown, and that can sometimes backfire. So she smooths things over. So
Mm-hmm.
I'd say SI and FE. Um, is she a judging type? I think some of the difficulties with this is that they say anyone who leads with an introverted perceptive function and has an extroverted judging function in the top two, that must make them a judger.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, she does have certain structures she likes to stick to,
Mm-hmm.
but she's not all about closure. She's quite open-minded to new ideas, new possibilities. She likes to not feel boxed in, which
Mm-hmm.
doesn't quite make sense for a judging type. It
Mm-hmm.
makes sense if you realize that she values extroverted intuition. It's just
Mm-hmm.
not her area of strength. She likes to be guided through possibilities and having her mind opened up to new ways of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
In the socionics model, we would actually say she'd be ISF with a P, but that's
Mm-hmm.
because we disagree over what makes a P and what makes a J.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and sometimes I feel if we look at P and J, it's not independent from such things such as extroverted intuition, but it
Mm-hmm.
should be if
Mm-hmm.
it's meant to be not to do with whether you have extrovert intuition or not in your stack, but it's
Mm-hmm.
to do with the extroversion of your judging function, whether that's thinking or feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why I don't use that dichotomy very much, and that's why I had given a very long answer
Mm-hmm.
to what should be a very simple question. It's perhaps the nub of difficulty. And
Mm-hmm.
I'd actually say if we got rid of the JP dichotomy, I think we'd understand the types more clearly in the
Mm-hmm.
Myers-Briggs. I think that I think it's we've almost had to force certain types and see them in the J way
Mm-hmm.
and force ourselves to see other types in the P way when that doesn't naturally follow from the cognitive functions themselves.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So, if you were going to give someone advice about your MBTI type, for instance, maybe someone that you're going to work with or, be in some kind of relationship with, what would you advise them as far as here's how to understand my type, or here's how to avoid misunderstanding my type? You think there's a way? Of course, you're an extrovert, so it's probably easier to misunderstand and an introvert. I imagine introverts face more misunderstandings, but do you think there's any ways that an ENTP might be misunderstood, or what advice would you give to someone? How can someone best understand your type if they were going to work with you or do a seminar with you or be in a relationship with you? What would you advise them?
I think the level to which someone can misunderstand me
Mm-hmm.
depends on how different their values are to mine.
Mm-hmm.
There is I think to some degree, introversion, extroversion plays a role. I
Mm-hmm.
think if you've got totally different values, then being introvert versus an extrovert makes that difference more stark. And I think that's because what ends up happening, it's an interesting quirk of the structure of type. The parts you're most stubborn on, if you
Mhm,
have totally opposite values to someone else,
mhm,
um, if you're an introvert, you'll be stubborn in the same areas which the extrovert who has no values in common with you has. And so you end up truly being at loggerheads.
mhm,
So what is the area of misunderstanding that can happen? The clear area of clash. I am someone whose default is to say yes to things.
mhm,
If we're to boil it down to its nub,
mhm,
I need to show positivity and openness
mhm,
towards ideas, suggestions, anything which I think, okay, this could lead to opportunities. So I should let it into my life until I'm sure that it has no potential.
mhm, mhm,
That means I take too many things on. It means that I agree to things I probably shouldn't agree to. I
mhm,
struggle to find a good reason not to agree to something.
mhm,
People in the socionics community can find that strange because I'm often saying, not saying necessarily no to things, but often critiquing things because they don't logically fit together and make sense. That's
mhm,
the only time when I will say no to something. If I can't do that, I almost have to say yes to it.
mhm,
So that's unusual to other types
mhm,
because for them, especially those which have totally different values to mine, certain kinds of introverts, not all,
mhm,
their default is to say no to things,
mhm,
to restrict the number of things in their life, to say no to new possibilities, and to assess um, things as a bit new things or new people as
mhm,
being potentially a bad thing, bad intentions, bad outcomes.
mhm,
And so they have to be convinced to say yes in the first place.
mhm,
So, what is the nature of the clash there? If I come to people with an interest in new ideas, I almost expect people to be open to it. And
mhm,
I feel almost internally dismayed when they're not open to considering this new point of view, this new set of ideas,
mhm,
to have an exploratory conversation, and they'd shut that down
mhm,
because they don't want to go there or have um and what is coupled with it is a certain blind spot on my part towards their personal sensitivities because I struggle to consult my own. And
mhm,
so someone may perceive what I'm doing as,
mhm,
first of all, very um, unpredictable,
mhm,
um, and also strangely intrusive.
mhm,
And at the same time, opening up new possibilities which should be really carefully thought about before being invited in the first place.
mhm.
So
Right.
that I'd say is a nature of clash. I've experienced that in the workplace before, to
Mhm,
my dismay.
mhm.
People sometimes do not want to explore certain ideas and possibilities.
Right.
And once you get a sense that they are that way inclined, you just have
Mhm,
to be comfortable with them not exploring that possibility with you. You have to think,
mhm,
okay, they are not interested. You don't need to have conversations. You need to keep the conversations to the minimum based on necessity.
mhm. Sounds true. Yes. And told me earlier that you learned about MBTI when you were 15.
Yes.
So how did you learn it, or how did you learn about it? And are there any ways that you feel that you have adapted your learning knowledge of MBTI into your personal life? Any
Well,
way that yeah.
this point, how did I learn about the Myers-Briggs? I took the Myers-Briggs type indicator when I was 15
Mm-hmm.
at my school. It was one of those classes which there's no set subject. It's almost like a sort of personal development
Mm-hmm.
class once a week. And the teacher gave us a Myers-Briggs type indicator where I
Mm-hmm.
got the ENTP for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how has that affected my learning? How has it affected how I approached and integrated information into my personal life?
Mm-hmm.
It's changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
It's become a major pillar of my life. In that I've certainly given much of my professional life towards uncovering the mysteries of personality type, going as deep as I can into the underlying structure for understanding people. It has kept me, it's kept my family going in difficult times because I've been able to make money on the side doing it. And now I'm looking to make money from typology full time
Mm-hmm.
because I found I've actually got a bit of a knack for doing it, and people
Mm-hmm.
like what I do and seem to be willing to pay me money to do it. So there we go. That's a business. But it's more than a business. It
Mm-hmm.
has tr changed my life in multiple respects.
Mm-hmm.
It is an understanding of personality type and especially intertype compatibility.
Mm-hmm.
Which types are most likely to go together for harmonious marriages?
Mm-hmm.
Which is how I was able to very quickly identify that the person I was meeting for a date at a coffee shop was actually the person who would be my complementary opposite, the person who would bring so much difference in terms of strengths, yet be so similar to me in terms of our values,
Mm-hmm.
that this would actually make us a very effective team
Mm-hmm.
and also be able to participate in a very resilient family as
Mm-hmm.
we are proving to each other every day.
Mm-hmm.
And that person who I met in that coffee shop is now my wife and has been
Hmm.
for several years now.
Interesting. So you feel like you used typology and the knowledge of it to assess whether she would be a good match
On the
and
first date.
first date. Interesting. And had she heard of MBTI before?
No, she doesn't hear of many obscure ideas. She has a zone of familiarity which she's encountered in her life. Her friends would know, but my role has been introducing her to new things which people don't often hear about,
Hmm.
and she likes that.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Hmm. Well, thank you so much for your time. I think we're about out of time, but so is there a way that people can find you on the internet? Can you tell us a little bit about your YouTube
Oh,
channel or how
I
people can find you?
I'm all too easy to find on the internet in some ways I don't particularly enjoy, but you can find World Socionic Society on YouTube,
Hmm.
and that's my channel. Um, I think I've interviewed about 350 people
Hmm.
to understand their personality type. A lot of that is public for people to see and see how I did it. I have been doing, of course, my celebrity typing live streams. I've got a series of videos
Hmm.
called Personality Type Explained Correctly, where
Hmm.
I go into every part of personality type, at least what someone who knows the MBTI would know, and I give logically coherent definitions of what those are. And given descriptions of all the types, people seem to really like my NTJ description. Actually, most of them have been very well received,
Hmm.
which I'm grateful for.
Hmm. Good. All right. Well, hopefully everyone will look up your World Socionics channel and become a subscriber. Well, thank you so much for your time. I know it's late in
Thank
the
you, Laura.
UK, so I want to let you go and maybe we'll chat again sometime soon.
I look forward. Maybe I can work out your type in socionics one day.
Sounds good. I'd love to do that. All
Thank you.
right, thank you, Jack.
Take care now. Have a
Mhm.
lovely rest of your day. And
You too.
thank you everyone for watching.
Good night.